Welcome to Sound of Hope News. My name is Daniela Bolensack, and it's the evening of June 27th. Leaders from China, Russia, India, Brazil, and South Africa met at the BRIC conference hosted by Beijing. Xi Jinping criticized the sanctions placed on Russia. As the Russia-Ukraine war hits a stalemate, it becomes more difficult for China to annex Taiwan. Why does China continuously provoke Taiwan? A well-known Chinese activist, Xu Zhongyi, was put on trial behind secret doors. Outside lawyers believe his outcome was manipulated by the government. Finally, as Hong Kong prepares for the 25th anniversary of its handover to China, multiple disasters strike the city. Is there a cause behind these ominous occurrences? Let's get into it. The Russia-Ukrainian war continues its stalemate. Well-known American international relations scholar, the former dean of Harvard Kennedy School of Government, Joseph Nye, believes that this reduces the chance that Beijing will send troops to Taiwan over the next few years. According to the Voice of America report on June 20th, Nye pointed out that the outbreak of the Ukraine war was a classic miscalculation on Russia's part. Putin thought that the Russian army could quickly capture Kyiv, overthrow Zelensky's regime, and build a pro-Russian government. Unexpectedly to him, the war is not going as well as Putin had hoped. Today, the Ukrainian-Russian war is likely to continue for a long time. Many are concerned that Taiwan will become the next Ukraine. There are also predictions that the CCP will invade Taiwan by 2027. However, Nye commented that Russia and Ukraine are connected by land and the Russian army is still having trouble capturing Kyiv. Seeing this, the CCP should realize that launching amphibious operations against Taiwan is an even more unrealistic endeavor. If Xi Jinping decides control of the Communist Party and China are his main goals, then the failure of a Taiwan expedition would be one of the few things that could derail his goals. Therefore, Nye believes that in these 4 years, the possibility of China invading Taiwan will be reduced. But Free Asia columnist Wang Dan suggested that the possibility of Xi ordering the use of force against Taiwan should not be ruled out. If we examine history, the CCP has often fought irrational wars. Before the Beijing massacre in 1989, many people did not believe that the CCP would use its regular army to carry out military operations against civilians, but it did. The CCP disregards all the bottom lines of human civilization for its own political interest. This is the norm of CCP behavior. We cannot judge the CCP through the ideology of the modern civilized world. Wang Dan also added that the CCP's force against Taiwan has always been a bluff. China used blank rounds of missiles during the crisis in 1995. The Taiwan issue has always been a game card in the CCP's dealing with internal affairs. Wang explained that the CCP creates issues about the Taiwan Strait whenever there are problems in mainland China. The lockdown of Shanghai spawned public anger. The fact that the Iron Chain Girl incident and the Tangshan incident could trigger billions of hits on the internet is reflecting that the collective social mood in China is already unstable. Under these circumstances, stirring up the Taiwan issue may be a CCP tool to distract it from its unstable internal situations, however wishful it may be. July 1st this year marks the 20th anniversary of the handover of Hong Kong's sovereignty to the Chinese government. However, the CCP has not announced whether Xi Jinping will visit Hong Kong for the ceremony. This has led to speculation. Recently, Hong Kong media reported that the Chinese leader might visit Hong Kong by high-speed rail, attend an important ceremony, and then leave the same day. Ominously, Hong Kong has been hit by a series of major incidents in the past few days, including shipwrecks, broken bridges, fires and explosions, and power outages, which are considered to be bad omens. On June 18th, the 46-year-old floating restaurant Jumbo Seafood, a symbol of Hong Kong, sank in the waters of the Paracel Islands. On the evening of the 21st, CLP Cable Bridge in Yuanlong set on fire, affecting more than 100,000 residents in Yuanlong. Tin Shui Wei and Tuen Mun, the Hong Kong Economic Journal, commented on this on the 22nd, saying, after 2 years of the gloomy and tragic coronavirus epidemic, there is so much to be done in Hong Kong, yet we're not hearing good news, only more bad news. The day before yesterday, the Jumbo Seafood boat sank in the ocean. There was also a fire and explosion at the power company's facilities on Wangtat Road, near Longping MTR station in Yuanlong. The flames soared into the sky, causing the MTR service to be blocked. There was a significant power outage in Tuanmun, Yuanlong, and Tinshuiwai. Many Hong Kong people said that this reminds people of the traditional saying, "Heaven's response to man," and dare to ask, the CCP has just announced the new leadership of Hong Kong. There is a shipwreck, broken bridge, and fire. Is it because God is angry? After hearing about the sinking jumbo seafood boat, many Hong Kong people stated, "The hearts of the Hong Kong people have sunk with the ship." Is it symbolizing the end of prosperity and stability in Hong Kong? Former reporter Lu Zhiling said when Xi Jinping visits Hong Kong, the epidemic suddenly rebounded from a low level. When the new government team is about to appear, the whole city is discussing the ship sinking. When you are most afraid of Yuanlong on the 21st, Yuanlong has a power outage on the 21st. Because 7/21 is the anniversary of the Yuanlong attack. Do you think you don't have to repay all the bad things? Traditional Chinese culture teaches that good is rewarded and evil is punished. So here, he is calling out the crimes Xi Jinping and the Chinese regime have committed. The Chinese Communist Party is known for its hooliganism, violent dictatorship, destruction of traditions, persecution of faith, suppression of Falun Gong practitioners, Tibetan Buddhism and Christianity, and the death of hundreds of millions of Chinese people during political campaigns. The Pearl of the Orient, Hong Kong, has fallen into the hands of the Chinese Communist regime, which is naturally ominous for Hong Kong. The Chinese Communist Party preaches atheism and teaches people not to believe in providence and karma. In defiance to this stance, however, when the Chinese Communist Party took over Hong Kong in 1997, there was heavy rain and an impressive atmosphere on that day. A series of visions occurred before and after the handover, and these celestial warnings during the handover of Hong Kong's sovereignty seem to have foretold the fate of Hong Kong sinking today. The sinking of a ship and the breaking of a bridge on the occasion of the 25th anniversary of the so-called handover reminds people that there is a heavenly will. Chinese President Xi Jinping, Russian President Vladimir Putin, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro, and South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa attended the virtual 14th BRICS Leader Summit hosted by Beijing on Thursday, June 23rd. Xi gave remarks reflecting Beijing's support for Moscow in the Russia-Ukraine war and its desire to form a strong alliance opposed to the US-led liberal democratic order. Xi didn't condemn Russia's invasion and criticized the sanctions against Moscow, and none of the members openly condemned Putin for his country's invasion of Ukraine. Instead, Xi stated the world should oppose the unilateral sanctions and efforts by other countries to maintain their political and military power. Economic sanctions have been used as a tool by the US and its allies to pressure Russia to give up its brutal assault. They have had an immediate and substantial impact on the Russian economy. Deputy Director at the Wilson Center think tank in Washington, Michael Kugelman, states, "The BRICS may seem irrelevant because it hasn't really moved the needle forward on its long-standing efforts to usher in viable global economic alternatives to the US-led existing system." But he adds that writing the BRICS off will be a mistake because of its collective economic might, even though it often tends to punch below its weight, according to the BBC. The other analysts see the meeting as a chance for Beijing to promote its governance and development model at a time of global instability. It is also the first time Putin has participated in a forum with the heads of major economies since launching an invasion of Ukraine. The BRICS summit will be followed shortly by the G7, a bloc of the world's biggest industrialized nations. Curbing Russia aggression is the top of the agenda. A court in Linshu County, Linyi City, Shandong Province, held a closed-door trial of Xu Zhirong, a well-known Chinese human rights activist, on charges of subversion of state power on June 22nd. According to the RFA, the trial of Xu Zhirong and Ding Jiaxi took place on the 22nd and 24th of June, respectively, on the grounds that the case involved state secrets. The trial was closed at 2:00 p.m. on the 21st, and the police officers forced Xu Zhirong's sister, Xu Zhiyu, to stay at a small hotel in Linshu County, but at 1 a.m., they forced her to leave. Teng Biao, a human rights lawyer and former lecturer at China University of Political Science and Law, who now lives in the United States, said, "This case was not based on law or evidence, but was a political persecution. The entire process was manipulated by the political and legal committee outside the court, and the final outcome was completely arbitrary due to various political considerations." On the 22nd, the China Human Rights Lawyers Group issued a statement on the case of Dr. Xu Zhirong and Ding Jiaxi, calling on the authorities to treat Xu Zhirong and Ding Jiaxi well, and expecting the Chinese government to abide by its own laws and protect their basic human rights, while demanding their immediate release. Thank you so much for listening. If you like what you saw, please share this video with family and friends. We're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow.